the day after Labor Day, two parents are found shot and deceased, one as they came out the shower and the other one while they slept. However, the identity of the shooter will shock you. Who was it? Let's find out right now. Wicked Wednesday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne-Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carrollton, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that you like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne-Marie. I hope you have a beverage. I hope you have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best, and you're ready to hear a true crime story with yours truly. And as always, I want to know, are y'all drinking that water? Are y'all staying hydrated? Are y'all getting those tickers up? Remember, just a quick 20-30 minute walk, especially first thing in the morning, get those endorphins up, and you are going to have an amazing, wonderful day, I promise you. And as always, thank you all for joining me on this Wicked Wednesday evening as we discuss another true crime case. And before we begin, I would like to wish my grandfather, Papa Stutes, a very happy birthday, as it is his birthday and he is celebrating his birthday in heaven today. I miss you so much, Papa, and I hope that you are celebrating in heaven today and thinking of the good memories we had together. Today, we will be discussing the case of Alan and Diane Johnson, who were brutally murdered back in 2003. Diane and Alan had one daughter named Sarah Marie Johnson, born January 24th, 1987 in Bellevue, Idaho. They had an older son as well. Sarah was the light of their eyes. She was the baby. She was sweet. She was funny. She was always happy. She loved spending time with friends and family. She excelled at sports. She was awesome in volleyball, basketball. She was on the debate team. She loved everyone, and she was always happy and always the life of the party. When Sarah was around 16 years old, she met 19-year-old high school dropout Bruno Santos. Sarah was head over heels in love with Bruno. She idolized him. She loved him so much, and she was telling everyone how they were going to get married. They were going to have kids. They were engaged, and Sarah was only 16 years old. So when you're 16, you think you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person because this was her first serious relationship. She honestly thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with 19-year-old Bruno Santos. However, her parents, Diane and Alan Johnson, did not approve of their relationship. They did not feel that Sarah should be with a 19-year-old older man. They thought their daughter should be enjoying high school and living her best life. Things became even more serious when 16-year-old Sarah Johnson began having relations with 19-year-old Bruno Santos. Sarah's parents, Alan and Diane, told her, "You will end this relationship. We do not want you in this relationship. You need to put an end of it into this relationship now, or we will end it for you." It is Labor Day weekend, the Saturday before Labor Day, and Sarah's parents, Alan and Diane, find out that she spent the night at her 19-year-old boyfriend, Bruno Santos' apartment. They're enraged, they are furious, and they confront Sarah. Supposedly, an altercation broke out between Diane and Sarah, mother and daughter. Then it became physical. Alan had to get in between them. He was put in the middle between his daughter, who he loved, and his wife, who he loved, but they were constantly fighting. It was said by Sarah's brother, Matt, that Sarah constantly said how much she hated her mother. She was angry with her mother. All she wanted to do was be with her 19-year-old boyfriend, Bruno Santos. Sarah's father, Alan, and Sarah's uncle decided to go to Bruno's house to confront Bruno, and they told Bruno to stay away from 16-year-old Sarah Johnson. They threatened him. They told him, "If you don't stop seeing my daughter, Sarah Johnson, I'm going to report you to the police for having relations with my 16-year-old daughter." They were that upset and that furious. All they wanted to do was get their daughter out of this relationship. Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, Sarah runs to the neighbor's house and says that her parents have been shot while she slept. The neighbor calls 911. The police arrive and find Diane and Alan Johnson shot to death. Diane has been shot in the head as she slept, and Alan was shot twice in the chest as he was coming out the shower. 16-year-old Sarah Johnson is yelling, she's screaming, she is devastated about the loss of her two loving parents. Friends and family, as well as cops, were very worried about 16-year-old Sarah Marie Johnson. She had just found her parents brutally murdered. I mean, brutally murdered. When I saw the crime scene photos, I was shocked. I was horrified. There was blood splatter everywhere on the ceiling, the walls, all over the bathroom. The whole bedroom was horrific. Some of the police even said this was the worst crime scene they had ever seen. This was Idaho. Nothing bad ever happens in Idaho, they say. This was a quiet town in the state of Idaho. Who could have done this? Police believe it is 19-year-old Bruno Santos. But could he have committed this crime? Could he have been that upset with Alan and Diane Johnson that he would take their life? Everyone wanted to know who did this. The cops find the rifle, the murder weapon, in the home. They collect the rifle and they start collecting evidence. They see a garbage truck is coming down the street. They stop the garbage truck because they want to see what is inside the trash can. And inside of that trash can, they find a rope, latex gloves, leather gloves, as well as bullets from the rifle. They collected DNA, and there was DNA there, but they didn't know who it was for. Could it have been from Bruno Santos? They collected his DNA, and all they had to do now was wait to see who the DNA was for. However, the cops started noticing that 16-year-old Sarah Johnson was acting very funny. She was more concerned about Bruno getting her nails done, getting her hair done, than the murder of her two loving parents. They also noticed something very weird. When the coroner came to pick up Diane and Alan Johnson to bring them to the funeral home, Sarah Johnson was sitting on a fence with no reaction, just sitting there. Looks like she was watching a flag football game. She had no reaction. She asked one of her friends to go check on Bruno. She wasn't concerned at all that her two loving parents were just brutally murdered. So cops start to believe, did Sarah have something to do with the murder of her parents? Sarah Johnson's friend said one day after school, Sarah went up to them and said, "Hey, y'all do me a favor. Y'all tell Bruno that I love him no matter what happens." Her friend said at that point, they knew that Sarah either committed the murder or had something to do with the murder. Then cops collected Sarah's DNA. Sarah stuck to her story and said someone had broken into her home and murdered her parents. The grandparents finally went up to the cops and said, "Hey, could you please tell us who murdered my daughter and my son-in-law? Was it 19-year-old Bruno Santos?" The cops said, "No, we do not believe it was Bruno. We believe it was your granddaughter, Sarah Marie Johnson." They were devastated. They were heartbroken. And Bruno's family says he was home the morning of the murders. He did not go anywhere that day. They told the cops there's no way Bruno could have committed these murders. Then Sarah's story started changing left and right. Her own family and friends started not to believe her. They wondered if Sarah had something to do with the murder of her parents, Alan and Diane Johnson. Then Sarah told her aunt that she had had a nightmare about her parents. Sarah says that she looked at her mother and her mother had no face. And then she saw her father and her father had 2 holes in his chest. And she went to hug them and they said, "It's okay, you can't hurt me anymore." But was Sarah responsible for the murder of her 2 parents? Everyone wanted to know. Everyone wanted to know who murdered Alan and Diane Johnson. And then Sarah had a red mark on her shoulder. Where did this red mark come from? Did a gun sit on her shoulder as she pulled the trigger? Did that happen? What was going on with this big mark on her shoulder? Then the 2 knives or the 3 knives that was sitting on the floor in the bedroom. It didn't make sense. And like I tell everyone, from researching cases every single day, 7 days a week, I research cases. And what I always say is the same thing. When a crime scene doesn't make sense, it's because it doesn't make sense. By mid-October, 6 weeks after the brutal murder of Diane and Alan Johnson, the wait was over. The DNA came back and it was all Sarah Marie Johnson's DNA. There was even blood splatter on Sarah's robe. Now, a lot of people have told, well, Anne Marie, of course her DNA is going to be everywhere around the crime scene. She lived in the house. Yes, however, blood splatter was found on her robe, and the blood splatter belonged to her parents. Sarah says that she was in the room when the murder occurred. Why would there be blood splatter all over her robe? I could understand if it was, a puddle of blood. Maybe she got over her parents, hugged her parents, or was trying to see what was going on. But it was splatters of blood. Like she pulled the trigger, and when she did, the splatter got all over her robe. Sarah Marie Johnson was arrested. And while she is awaiting trial, she says and still claims that she had nothing to do with the murder of her parents. Her trial started in February of 2005, and the prosecutors and the defense interviewed Bruno Santos because everyone thought it was Bruno Santos. He did not commit it. His DNA was nowhere near the crime scene, nowhere. Everything pointed to Sarah Marie Johnson. Then 16 days into Sarah's trial, her cellmate came in to testify and said her and Sarah were having a conversation, and Sarah said, when the killers killed my parents. So Sarah seemed like she was admitting to killing her parents to her cellmate. Everyone knew Sarah Marie Johnson committed this crime. The gloves, the bullets, the DNA, the leather glove, the latex, everything pointed to Sarah Johnson, and everyone knew they had the right person. Sarah's brother even testified that Sarah constantly would say how much she hated her parents. So he even said he knew his sister had committed this murder. It didn't take long for the jury to find 16-year-old Sarah Marie Johnson guilty of the murder of her parents. She is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She will remain the rest of her life behind bars. My final thought, I always give y'all my final thought. And my final thought is, don't ever take the life of someone. Don't do it. It is not worth it. It is not worth it to take anyone's life away from them. Sarah Marie Johnson took the life of her two loving parents. Her older brother, Matt, lost his two best friends. He loved his parents. He has no parents now. These two loving parents are no longer with us because Sarah Marie Johnson wanted to be with her 19-year-old boyfriend. If she wanted to have a relationship with Bruno Santos, wait till you're 18. When you turn 18, go live your best life with your boyfriend. But she shouldn't have taken the life of two loving parents because she wanted to be with her boyfriend. That is never the right thing to do. There are other paths to take. And remember, the young people out there, parents make the decision to protect the children. I know that's how I am. Children, I remember when I was a teenager, we think our parents are like, they're whatever. They're not, with the times. They're not this and not that. No, we do things to protect our children every day. Trust me, every day. Every day we want to make sure our children are protected. Sarah could have waited, but she didn't. She took the wrong road. She took the wrong path and took the life of two loving parents. I hope Matt remembers the good memories that he had with his parents, Alan and Diane Johnson. I hope y'all all enjoyed today's video. I hope that y'all like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. And as always, stay safe, always be aware of your surroundings, and always know that I'm here for each and every one of you. Thank you all for joining me tonight on this Wicked Wednesday evening. And as always, thank you for the love and support. And for you, I am truly grateful. I will see y'all tomorrow night with another video. I love each and every one of y'all. Bye.